For the past couple of weeks, Zach and I have been getting requests saying, hey, can you please give us the best streaming defenses and quarterbacks for the fantasy playoffs? And now it's here. I have the quarterbacks. Zach has the defenses. So definitely go check that out. I have researched the schedules of teams who give the top 10 most fantasy points to the quarterback position in the fantasy playoffs. Once again, giving you the top 10 guys I believe could potentially help you win a playoff week or your championships in 2022. So definitely keep that in mind. Let's get straight into the video. Before I get started, as always, you're going to be starting your stars. Keep it simple, stupid. KISS, an acronym we like to use here. You're starting your Patrick Mahomes, your Josh Allens, your Justin Herberts, your Lamar Jacksons, all those superstar guys that are your starting quarterbacks that you drafted high in your drafts. You're still going to be starting them. And also, there's going to be some names on this list. Just because they have good matchup doesn't mean you should start them, right? There's going to be some bad names that, once again, we'll get into it here. So definitely keep that in mind. Week 15, you're going to see a graphic on your screen here. You're going to see players who appear 3 times within the 3 weeks. As you can see, Davis Mills here, number 27 versus the Chiefs. He appears each and every single week. Week 15, 16, and 17 doesn't mean you should start him. So he appears in each week into the fantasy playoffs. The blue highlight, players who appear twice in 2 out of the 3 weeks in the fantasy playoffs. For example, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Baker Mayfield, Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott. And then you can see in the purple is my favorite matchup of this week. And let's get straight into that matchup. Andy Dalton or Jameis Winston versus the Atlanta Falcons. This is going to be my stream, my pickup of this week. And guys, we are looking into the future, right? We want to see who's going to be available and who are some viable options you can pick up that are available in your fantasy leagues. So right now, Andy Dalton is currently available in 86% of sleeper leagues right now. And Jameis Winston does come onto the field and takes back his job, Jameis Winston is available in 85% of leagues going into week 15 currently. They play the Atlanta Falcons, who currently give the second most points to opposing teams. The Falcons currently also give up the most points the most yardage, to opposing offenses as well. And we've seen the success with Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton on the field when they go against bad teams. This is a divisional game. In week 1, Jameis Winston was the starter of this team, and he threw 2 touchdowns, over 260 yards, over 25 fantasy points. I believe either Andy Dalton or Jameis Winston could do that here against the Atlanta Falcons at home in week 15. So I think it will be a fantastic matchup if you do need a streaming option going into week 15. And it's also a divisional game, so anything can go. It's usually a high scoring game, good defenses on both teams. Some guys you probably see on the list here that you're saying, oh, this could be a better start. Just because Zach Wilson is playing against the Lions doesn't mean he's available in your league. He's probably only available, he's probably rostered 73% of leagues, or 70+% of leagues, whatever the case may be. And, someone like Baker Mayfield or PJ Walker against the Steelers, there's no way just because they have a good matchup I want to start him. So definitely keep that in mind. Look into the future. Maybe if you have an extra roster spot as well, maybe you can pick some of these guys up in advance, right? Also, this is more catered to 1 quarterback leagues. If you're in a 1 quarterback league, in a 12-man league, and you have some options like, for example, Russell Wilson, Andy Dalton, and Zach Wilson, et cetera, then go ahead and pick them up. And also in super flex leagues, this could be an option depending on how your league is set up. Week 16, you can see the following teams. Baker Mayfield also appears in this week. You can see Davis Mills also against the Titans. Lamar Jackson against the Atlanta Falcons, for example. This is the guy I'm saying he has a good matchup. He's your star, so you're going to love week 16 for Lamar Jackson. Zach Wilson against the Jags. And my favorite stream of this week is Derek Carr in week 16 versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Currently available in 37% of leagues, so it's a little bit more tough to go pick up Derek Carr, but this is a good matchup. The Steelers allow the 9th most points per game to opposing offenses and allow the 3rd most yardage to opposing offenses, which means Derek Carr could have a field day. We saw what he did with Devontae Adams this past week, throwing over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, over 24 fantasy points. By far his best game of the season against Russell Wilson and this, this Denver defense, who was actually really good against the pass, against opposing quarterbacks, and this is an even better matchup with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I will feel really confident starting Derek Carr going into Week 16. Other guys that I really love as well, Geno Smith. He's available in like 80, or he's rostered in 85% of the league. So we want to bring guys that have high availability, right? So Geno Smith is definitely a guy I love. Daniel Jones is out there, but also only already rostered over 70% of leagues. These are some guys that I really like. I like Kenny Pickett. I think it could definitely be a risk reward, but I mean, take that as you wish. He's playing the Las Vegas Raiders. That can go either way, right? Week 17, you see Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson against the Chiefs, which is also a really great matchup, and Davis Mills. Only one quarterback in each and every week that has a top 10 matchup, and that is Davis Mills. Just because this guy has the best, probably one of the best, streaming fantasy playoffs weeks doesn't mean you should be starting him once again. I just want to continue to reiterate that. Okay, so definitely keep that in mind. My stream of this week for Week 17 is Jimmy G against the Las Vegas Raiders, currently available in 41% of sleeper leagues. Once again, if you have an extra roster spot, if you have a tough matchup that week, let's say you have a quarterback playing the Buffalo Bills or Matthew Stafford, Russell Wilson, whatever the case may be, Jimmy G could be a better option for you in Week 17 and could potentially win you your fantasy playoffs. This is the championship week, so you want to win it all here, right? Steelers allow the 11th most points per game to opposing teams and allow the 6th most yardage to opposing teams, which means hopefully Jimmy G can throw the ball, or CMC can go crazy, dump off passes, screens. Elijah Mitchell's getting more work, Debo, Ayuk. This could be a very, very good game for Jimmy G and these 49ers. I love each and every one of these matchups. If you have any questions, please drop it down below. Week 17, also matchups that I also like. Dak Prescott, but once again, he's also already rostered the most. Justin Fields rostered in 90% of leagues. But if you have Justin Fields and he's playing against the Lions, that is fantastic. Daniel Jones just, threw over 200 plus yards, had nearly 70 yards on the ground, over 25 plus fantasy points this past week for Daniel Jones versus the Lions. Justin Fields can definitely do that and more. So if you can get Justin Fields in some way, somehow, potentially if you still have your trades and you just want to trade for Justin Fields in Week 17, I think that is fantastic. Obviously, you're starting your Lamar Jackson, your Dak Prescott. Russell Wilson, I don't think I want to start Russell Wilson against the Chiefs. I know he's there, but he's just not a guy that I want personally starting for my team, especially in championship week. Has just been up and down. So Jimmy G really feels like the most confident start out of the guys that have a high availability going into Week 17. So these are my guys. Week 15, just to go over it again. Week 15, Andy Dalton or Jameis Winston versus the Falcons. Week 16, Derek Carr versus the Steelers. And Week 17, championship week, Jimmy G versus the Las Vegas Raiders. This is it, guys. This championship week, it's all playoff season. It's all happening. I hope you made it to this point. If you have been with us, we really appreciate you. If you have made the playoffs, good luck. Maybe you'll see this down the road. Comment if you have any questions. We're going to continue to update these rankings as the weeks come by, right? I know we're doing this a little bit early to get you guys involved, to get you guys looking ahead to your fantasy playoffs. If you do have extra roster spots, if you are in that position, Zach and I appreciate you and everything that you guys do right now. Happy Thanksgiving. If it's out there, we appreciate you. And if not, it's all love and good luck in whatever week you're going into.
Yo, what's good? Thanks for watching. We got a lot more videos.
A lot more.
If you want more videos,
watch it.
You can also subscribe
right now
if you want to.
You need to.
And lastly, don't forget that you can sign up to support the show and get exclusive content by going to patreon.com/fantasylandfam.